deliver consistent high purity products to
Tim, thanks for joining us today, following what's been a transformational few months for Latitude Consolidated. Firstly, we have to start with a big ticket item, the acquisition of the Andy Well and the Gnaweeda gold projects from Silver Lake Resources. Can you bring us up to speed on the acquisition and also provide us a bit of background on your personal experience with the project?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. It certainly has been a busy few months for the Latitude team. Look, we were successful in negotiating to acquire two amazing projects from Silver Lake, both Andy Well and Gnaweeda. The deal came about, I guess, through my relationship with Silver Lake. I'm a mining engineer by trade, spent a significant period of time working with Silver Lake Resources. So that's where I became familiar with the projects. And I guess that relationship provided the foundation for negotiations to acquire them. And look, we believe they're extraordinary projects. They provide Latitude with a significant footprint in the Western Australian mineral field in the Murchison. There's a very large existing resource, currently stands at just under 800,000 ounces, and importantly, it's at a very high grade, so 4 grams a tonne. Along with that, there's an extensive number of historical high-grade drill intercepts outside of the resource, and I need to emphasise that it's outside of the existing resource that need follow-up drilling. So that's what we're really excited about. The acquisition from Silver Lake, it was a cash deal. It was $8 million. When you look at the existing resource we acquired with the project, it works out to be an extraordinarily low acquisition cost of just over $10 an ounce. To complete the transaction and to give Latitude, I guess, the financial capacity to execute its plans for the next 12 or so months, we undertook a $10 million capital raise earlier this year. And following completion with Silver Lake, that'll give us about $3.6 million in the treasury, which will more than cover our planned works at Andy Well, Gnaweeda, and importantly, our other gold exploration assets, which we can touch on later. The current share price is sitting at around 3.6 cents, which gives Latitude the market cap of about $28 million. When you consider the 3.6 in the treasury, an enterprise value of about 25. And this works out to be, on a resource ounce-based metric, about $30 an ounce, which is, in our view, undervalued at the moment relative to our peer group of WA gold explorers.
Thanks, Tim. It certainly sounds like an attractive deal for LCD, and you also clearly have a good understanding of the asset and the direction you wanted to take it over the next few months. Can you provide me with a bit of background on the history of Andy Well, and what are the areas you've identified that may host significant exploration upside?
Look, the first company to have significant exploration success at Andy Well was Dore Minerals. They were drilling in and around some high-grade drill intersections that weren't followed up by previous explorers, and very quickly they defined the Wilbur lode. Dore rapidly transitioned from explorer to mine development, with the focus of all the subsequent drilling following the Wilbur discovery being in and around expanding the Wilbur resource. What that meant was there's a significant number of high-grade drill intercepts that were identified outside of the immediate mine footprint that didn't get sufficient attention or follow-up drill testing. Now, our intention is to go and follow these up with our 2021 drill program and drill in and around these existing high-grade drill intercepts. Along with following up the existing high-grade drill holes, we believe that there's a new lode orientation which wasn't interpreted by Dore, and we identified this during the due diligence process when we were reviewing the projects. We saw in the diamond core, there's an amazing intercept of 3.6 metres at 8.8 grams, and within that there's half a metre at 59. And when you look at the orientation in the core photos, it's actually oriented differently to the Dore interpretation, and that's important when you consider the drilling in and around that intercept. And we think that it wasn't effectively drill tested, and that's going to be one of the key parts of our drill program in early 2021 in April. We'll go and test that. So we'll pretty quickly be able to demonstrate whether this new interpretation is true. And if it is true, it's going to deliver a new exploration model for Andy Well. And I guess to provide an analogue, the Bellevue discovery, the Viago lode sitting right next to the underground mine, they mined 800,000 ounces at Bellevue's namesake mine, and the Viago lode sat there undiscovered until 2018 when Bellevue drilled it. So that's what we're hoping for, to go and drill test these new interpretations and define a new exploration lens to apply to Andy Well. So like I said, 2021 drill campaign plans to test both new structural interpretations and also follow up around the multiple historic high-grade drill intersections.
Tim, it's very clear that you can see a pathway to expanding the existing resource base through aggressive exploration, as you mentioned there. I also know that you'll be undertaking both open pit and underground mining studies alongside this exploration work. Are you able to give us some insight into this work stream?
Yeah, certainly can. Look, with the extensive resource base that we picked up with the project and the fact that over 65% of it's in the high confidence measured and indicated classification, we plan on rolling straight into a scoping study and we'll complete that this year. And what we want to demonstrate with that is what the likely production profile from the project would look like using the existing resource of 776,000 ounces. The options that we're going to consider, there's a number of processing plants within or very, very close to the mine site. Westgold has a plant just south of Meekatharra, which is less than 60 kilometres away from the front gate at Andy Well to their processing plant. So it's very close from a ore trucking perspective. But the options that we're going to consider, so one is to expand the existing mill infrastructure on site, which is less than 10 years old. It's currently incomplete. There's a couple of items that Silver Lake removed from site prior to the transaction. So we'll evaluate reinstating those and running processing the ore on site. We're also going to look at toll milling options, which have a significantly lower capital intensity. And then finally, we're going to look at a hybrid option, which potentially provides early cash flow through toll milling, and we can use that cash flow to establish a suitably sized processing plant later in the project life. So the outcome of these studies, or this study, will be a good starting point to understand the potential financial outcomes the project is capable of delivering.
Thanks, Tim. Now, just shifting our focus, if we can, to a couple of other key assets within LCD's portfolio. What's the latest on your plans for the Skye Gold Project in South Australia and Circle Valley in southern WA?
Yeah, thanks for bringing those up, Alex. Both of those projects are really exciting, and we look forward to exploring them later this year. So the first of which is Skye Gold, and that's in the Gawler Craton in South Australia. The project sits directly adjacent to the Aurora Tank Gold Project, where Mamoda Limited is having really good exploration success at the moment. And look, we want to get on the ground in the second half of the year and drill there and hopefully replicate the success that Mamoda's having. The other project, Circle Valley, which is in southern WA, that sits in the Albany-Fraser Mobile Belt, and that belt is home to the 7 million ounce Tropicana gold mine. Now, we've identified primary gold mineralisation in two separate locations on that ground there, and the intention is to follow that mineralisation, chase that up with drilling later in the second half of this year. So as you can see, we've got two other projects that are really promising and a very good gold exploration portfolio across both South Australia and WA.
Thanks, Tim. So as you mentioned, obviously there's clearly a lot of exploration activity over the coming months for LCD. But before you leave us today, can you just talk us through what the key work programs will be over the next few months? And do you have the funding in place to deliver these programs?
Yes, we do. We have a lot going on and also the financial capacity to execute. So the first campaign we're planning on rolling into is at Andy Well and Gnaweeda, where we've got 10,000 metres of drilling planned to start in early April. And we're also finalising the permitting for drilling programs at both Skye and our Circle Valley project. And we'll commence field work in both of these in the second half of the year. Like I said earlier, we're in a strong financial position. We've got $3.6 million in the Treasury, and that'll provide us with adequate funding to perform all our exploration in WA and South Australia over the next 12 months.
Thanks, Tim. Certainly plenty of near-term catalysts for us to keep an eye on, but really appreciate you joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Cheers, mate.